Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today to speak about an undeniable truth that we must all come to understand in our journey through life. The importance of recognizing when it is time to move on. Moving on isn't simply about closing doors or letting go of the past. It is about aligning with a greater purpose. One that calls us to higher ground, a deeper understanding, and a more fulfilling existence. In every season of our lives, there are moments that mark the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Moments where God is whispering to us, it is time to move on. Each of us experiences transitions, shifts, and changes in ways that can sometimes be confusing or even painful. We hold on. Not because we should, but because we fail to recognize that holding on is the very thing that is stifling our growth. The truth is, when it is time to move on, God makes it clear. There are 5 powerful ways that God shows you it's time to move on. Let's delve into these divine signs and discover how God is guiding us toward our next season. Sense of restlessness and discontent. When God is calling you to move on, one of the first signs you will experience is a deep sense of restlessness. This restlessness is not simply about boredom or dissatisfaction with life. It is a divine discomfort that stirs within your spirit, signaling that the current phase of your life has run its course. God does not want you to be complacent or stagnant in any situation. The restlessness you feel is a reflection of the divine discontent that stirs within you, pushing you towards something new and greater. This feeling may begin as a quiet whisper, but over time it will intensify until you can no longer ignore it. It might manifest in your work, your relationships, or even your spiritual walk. You may find yourself questioning your purpose, wondering if there's more to life than what you're currently experiencing. This is God's way of showing you that there is another chapter waiting to be written. A chapter that requires you to move on from what has become comfortable but unfulfilling. As this restlessness grows, it may lead to frustration, confusion, or even a sense of being trapped. You may try to fill this emptiness with distractions, but the more you try to ignore it, the stronger it becomes. God is not interested in allowing you to remain in a place of stagnation. He wants to move you forward. And the restlessness you feel is simply a divine nudge to help you recognize the need for change. When you start to feel this unease, instead of fighting it or trying to suppress it, embrace it. This restlessness is a call to action. It is God urging you to move out of your comfort zone and step into the unknown. Though it may seem daunting, trust that it is for your good. You were never meant to remain in a place that no longer serves your purpose or fulfills your potential. The restlessness is a sign that it's time to seek something new and to trust in the journey that lies ahead. Moving on isn't always easy, especially when the place you are moving from has been familiar for so long. But when the restlessness persists, it's a divine signal that it is time to move on. Trust that God has a plan that is greater than your current situation. And as you respond to that inner call, you will discover the peace that comes with obedience to His will. Closed doors and unforeseen obstacles. Another way God shows you it's time to move on is through closed doors and unforeseen obstacles that seem to prevent you from progressing. You might find that everything you try in a particular area of your life begins to fail. And the more you push against the resistance, the more it becomes apparent that this is not where you are supposed to be. These obstacles are not simply coincidences. They are divine redirections, steering you towards something greater. There is a tendency in human nature to view closed doors as failures, as missed opportunities, or as signs of weakness. But in the kingdom of God, a closed door is not a sign of defeat. It is an opportunity for redirection. God knows the path that you must take, and sometimes that path requires you to face obstacles that force you to reevaluate your direction. A closed door is a divine invitation to stop, look around, and ask God, where do you want me to go now? When you find yourself facing one closed door after another, it's essential to stop and reflect. Ask yourself why things aren't working out the way you thought they would. Is it because God is telling you that this is not the place for you? Or is it because He's preparing you for something better? Something that requires you to let go of what you've been holding on to. When doors close in your life, recognize that God is making a way for you where there seemed to be none. These obstacles are not meant to discourage you, but to refine you. They test your patience, your perseverance, and your willingness to trust in God's plan for your life. If you continue to fight against the closed doors, you will miss the opportunity to see the new doors God is opening for you. Trust that every obstacle you face is designed to prepare you for something greater and to move you closer to your destiny. When God is closing one door in your life, it is because He is preparing to open another. The challenges and resistance you face are not signs that you are on the wrong path. They are the confirmation that it is time to move on. You don't have to fight against what is not working. Instead, yield to God's timing and allow Him to lead you to the new opportunities that await you. A shift in your passion and interests. When it is time to move on, God will often stir a shift in your passions, interests, and desires. What once brought you joy may no longer hold the same excitement, and what once felt like your calling may now seem irrelevant or unfulfilling. This shift is a reflection of God's divine purpose for your life evolving. He is moving you towards something that aligns with your current season of growth, a purpose that is more in tune with who you are becoming. In every season of life, there are passions that are meant to guide you, and there are passions that have fulfilled their purpose. Just because something once brought you joy doesn't mean it is your calling forever. God knows that our gifts and desires evolve as we grow in Him, and sometimes He will remove our attraction to certain things so that we can pursue the next phase of our purpose with greater focus and energy. If you feel a sudden disinterest in something that once mattered deeply to you, do not panic. Understand that this is part of God's plan to transition you into a new season. You may feel confused, wondering why the things that once fueled your soul no longer do. But trust that God is redirecting your energy and passion towards something new, something that will fulfill the deeper call on your life. Sometimes this shift in passion can be subtle, like the gradual fading of a song you once loved. Other times it can be a sudden, overwhelming desire to let go of something you've been attached to for a long time. Whatever the case, know that this shift is a divine invitation to embrace change. God is telling you that it is time to move on, to release the old and pursue the new. This shift may require you to step into unknown territory, but God never calls us to something without providing the grace and strength to fulfill it. Allow yourself to be open to new passions and interests, and trust that God is leading you to a place of greater fulfillment. The passions He gives you will align with your purpose and help you step into the next chapter of your journey. Divine encounters and new relationships. One of the most powerful ways God shows you it's time to move on is through divine encounters and new relationships that seem to come into your life at just the right moment. These people, experiences, or opportunities serve as catalysts for the next phase of your journey. They are the tools God uses to guide you, to offer you new perspectives, and to connect you with the resources necessary for your growth. When God wants you to move on, He often introduces you to people who will challenge you, stretch you, and inspire you to become who you were meant to be. These relationships are not random. They are divinely orchestrated connections that help align you with your purpose. You may meet someone who offers a job, introduces you to a mentor, or simply speaks a word that shifts your perspective and confirms that it's time to move forward. These divine encounters are not just about what you gain from others. They are about how they help you grow in ways you could not have anticipated. God uses people to provide encouragement, wisdom, and new opportunities. As you step into new relationships, you may find yourself confronted with challenges, but these challenges are designed to refine you and prepare you for what lies ahead. It is essential that you recognize the significance of these new connections. They are not merely coincidences. They are God's divine setup to position you for the next phase of your life. Do not ignore the relationships that come into your life, as they may hold the key to unlocking your next chapter. Trust that God is using these encounters to push you toward your destiny. The presence of peace after letting go. Finally, one of the most profound signs that it is time to move on is the presence of peace that follows after you let go of what you've been holding on to. Moving on is often accompanied by fear, doubt, and uncertainty. But once you step out in faith and release what no longer serves you, God will fill you with a peace that surpasses all understanding. This peace is the confirmation that you have made the right choice and that God is with you as you transition into a new season. The peace that comes after letting go is not the absence of challenges or struggles. It is the assurance that you are walking in God's will. It is a peace that transcends your circumstances and provides you with the courage to keep moving forward. When God is calling you to move on, He will grant you the peace to know that His plan is greater than your fears. This peace is not something you can manufacture on your own. It is a divine gift that comes from walking in obedience to God's call. When you feel the peace that follows your decision to move on, take that as confirmation that you are in alignment with God's will. Trust in His timing, His provision, and His plan for your life. Unresolved emotions and lingering pain. God often reveals to you that it's time to move on through unresolved emotions and lingering pain that refuses to be healed. These emotions, whether they are related to past hurts, disappointments, or broken relationships, remain trapped within your soul, preventing you from fully moving forward. While pain is a part of the human experience, when it becomes persistent, it signals that it's time to let go of something that no longer serves you. Ultimately, you find the wisdom in the creative element that gives you something that is healing and proactive. God uses these emotional struggles as an indicator that He wants to heal you and release you from the past so that you can embrace a future filled with hope and restoration. Now remember, the words you speak are a powerful weapon with which to strike. If you find yourself continuously struggling with emotional baggage that you cannot seem to shake off, it is essential to pay attention to what God is doing in your life. Often, the deeper the emotional wound, the more resistance we feel toward releasing it. We may hold on to the pain because it has become a part of our identity, or because we fear what letting go might mean. But God wants to heal you from your pain, and He will often allow the emotions to remain unresolved as a sign that it is time to move forward and let go of what has been holding you back. Unresolved emotions are not just about personal healing, they are about your spiritual freedom. God desires for you to live fully and abundantly, and that is impossible when you're shackled by past hurts. The more you carry these emotional burdens, the less room there is for God's joy and peace to fill your heart. Moving on isn't simply about leaving people or situations behind. It's about allowing God to heal the broken places within you so you can step into your next season with a heart that is free and unencumbered. When God is calling you to move on, He will often highlight these unresolved emotions as an invitation to surrender them to Him. It's a divine opportunity to experience emotional and spiritual freedom. God is asking you to release the old wounds and allow Him to heal them so that you can walk in the fullness of your destiny. As you take this step, trust that His healing power will restore you and you will feel lighter, more at peace, and ready to embrace what lies ahead. Sometimes healing takes time, but it starts with your willingness to let go. When you allow God to touch the broken places in your life, He will bring restoration, peace, and a renewed sense of purpose. Moving on is a process of both releasing the past and accepting God's healing, and it requires courage to confront the pain and allow God to do His work in you. Divine discernment and new insights. A significant sign that it is time to move on comes when God grants you divine discernment and new insights into your current situation. You begin to see things from a different perspective with a clarity that you didn't have before. This discernment is God's way of showing you the truth of your circumstances, helping you to recognize what is no longer aligned with His purpose for your life. Christ, with this newfound insight, you are able to make decisions that lead you toward the future He has prepared for you. Often we get stuck in a situation because we are operating out of limited understanding or because we are blinded by emotions or familiarity. But when God is calling you to move on, He will open your eyes to see things in a new light. This divine clarity helps you understand why certain relationships, opportunities, or places no longer serve your destiny, and why it's time to move in a different direction. It is a type of revelation that cuts through confusion and reveals the path that you must take. This new discernment may manifest through dreams, visions, or even through the wisdom of others. You may have a conversation with someone and their words will resonate with your spirit in a way that confirms what you've been feeling. Or you may read a scripture that speaks directly to your situation, giving you the courage to step into something new. God uses many avenues to bring discernment into our lives, and when you begin to experience this shift, you should take note that God is leading you to move on. This divine discernment is a gift that helps you navigate the uncertainty that often comes with change. It gives you the ability to see beyond the surface, to recognize the opportunities God is placing before you, and to understand the deeper purposes of your circumstances. When you feel that your eyes are being opened and you begin to see clearly what you need to do, know that this is a sign from God that it is time to move forward. In times of transition, we can often feel confused or uncertain about which path to take. But when God grants you discernment, you will know without a doubt that the time has come to move on. Embrace this gift and trust that God is leading you towards something far greater than what you're leaving behind. The call to let go of control. When it's time to move on, you will often find yourself being called to let go of control. We are creatures of habit, and we like to have things planned and within our grasp. But God is a God of faith, and He often requires us to let go of our need to control every aspect of our lives. When you feel a deep prompting to release the reins and trust God completely, this is a sign that it is time to move forward. Control is a powerful illusion that we create to feel safe, secure, and certain about the future. However, God's ways are higher than our ways, and He calls us to live by faith, not by sight. When you are called to move on, you may feel a sense of insecurity or fear, because letting go of control often means stepping into the unknown. But God is asking you to trust Him, to let go of the need to manage every detail, and to allow Him to lead you. The call to let go of control often comes with a sense of release, a freeing sensation that comes from surrendering your own desires and plans to God. As you relinquish control, you make room for God to take the lead and guide you into the future He has prepared. This step of faith allows you to move beyond the limitations of your own understanding and enter into the limitless possibilities that God has for you. The fear of losing control can paralyze us, but it is in the act of surrendering that we find true peace. Letting go doesn't mean that you are abandoning your responsibilities or your commitments. It means that you are trusting God to handle what you cannot. When you embrace this call to release control, you will find that God is more than capable of leading you where you need to go. Letting go of control is a profound act of faith. And when you take that step, you open the door for God to do what only He can do. You may not know what the future holds, but you can be certain that God is with you, guiding you every step of the way. Trust Him to lead you into your next season, and allow Him to take you where He wants you to go. Letting go is the moment for grace, is the moment for confession, a sudden sense of clarity and assurance. At times, God will make it abundantly clear that it's time to move on by giving you a sudden sense of clarity and assurance about the decision you need to make. This clarity often comes when you have wrestled with uncertainty and doubt for an extended period of time. Suddenly, all the confusion lifts and you experience a sense of knowing that is unshakable. It's a divine moment of assurance that confirms you are on the right path and the time has come to make your move. This clarity is not something you can manufacture. It is a gift from God that allows you to see the truth of your situation. You may have spent months or even years in a place of indecision. But when God is calling you to move on, He will grant you this divine understanding, helping you to see things clearly. With this clarity, you can move forward with confidence, knowing that you are walking in alignment with God's plan for your life. The moment of clarity may come as a revelation, a word from God, or even a peaceful certainty that fills your heart. It may be the result of prayer, meditation, or quiet reflection, but when it comes, you will know beyond a shadow of a doubt that God is showing you the way forward. This clarity removes the fog of confusion and gives you the courage to take the next step, knowing that God is with you every step of the way. In these moments, you may also feel a deep sense of assurance that everything will work out according to God's plan. This assurance brings peace to your spirit, even when external circumstances seem uncertain. God's clarity and assurance help you to rest in the knowledge that He is in control and His plan will unfold in His perfect timing. If you have been struggling to make a decision or have been unclear about your next steps, trust that God will provide you with the clarity you need. He will guide you with wisdom and understanding, and when He does, take that as confirmation that it is time to move on. A growing desire for greater impact. Finally, God often calls us to move on when we begin to feel a growing desire for greater impact. As we mature spiritually, we begin to recognize that our lives are meant for more than just personal fulfillment. We are called to make a difference, to influence the world around us, and to leave a lasting legacy. When you feel a stirring within you to do more, to impact more lives, or to serve a greater purpose, this is often a sign that it is time to move on to a new assignment or calling. This desire for greater impact is not driven by selfish ambition or a desire for recognition. It is a divine call to serve others and fulfill God's purpose for your life. When you feel that your current situation is no longer allowing you to reach your full potential, God may be urging you to move on to something that will stretch you and allow you to make a greater difference. It is in this desire for impact that God leads you toward a future filled with purpose and significance. As you recognize this growing desire, pay attention to the ways in which God is opening doors for you to use your gifts and talents for His glory. Whether it's in your community, workplace, or personal life, God will place opportunities in your path that allow you to expand your influence and contribute to His kingdom. Moving on isn't just about finding personal fulfillment. It's about stepping into a role that allows you to be a vessel of transformation and change. This desire for greater impact often requires you to step out of your comfort zone and embrace new challenges. But it is through these challenges that God shapes and refines you, preparing you for the greater work He has called you to do. When you feel this stirring, trust that God is leading you into a season of greater purpose and impact, and that the time has come for you to move forward. As you embrace this calling, know that God is equipping you with everything you need to succeed. Your desire to make a difference is not a coincidence. It is a reflection of the divine purpose He has placed within you. Step into your destiny with confidence, knowing that the impact you make will be a reflection of His love and power at work in your life. Reflection on greatness and reflection on kindness, on compassion, on respect, on reflection on gratitude, on value and worth. And you and I are necessary to the completion of His work. Ladies and gentlemen, these signs are divine invitations from God, guiding us toward the next chapter of our journey. Moving on may seem daunting, but we are never alone in this process. God's leading is always accompanied by His provision, His peace, and His presence. Trust that when He calls you to move on, He is preparing you for something greater. Let go of the past, embrace the future, and walk confidently into the new season that God has ordained for your life.